You've tuned into Bellingham Podcast Media Tech for the week of January 23rd, 2017, episode 27. From the city of subdued excitement and caffeination, I'm AJ Barce.
And getting back into the land of the jittery, I'm Chris Powell. On this episode, AJ swims around the best ways to dock your phone while driving. I'm submerging into how I can protect my mobile phone number. And we both wade into unfamiliar deep waters in the gear bag ocean. Splish Splash, we were having a podcast in the middle of January. Let's jump in head first. This is BPM Tech.
I always love the hook that you have when we start the show. Splish Splash. I didn't even read that beforehand.
They call me Captain Hook.
I love it.
I got your hookup. How are you, AJ?
Good, Chris. Hey, where are we?
We're not in a quiet studio. We are out and about.
And where are we? We're in Bellingham.
We're in Bellingham.
It's almost like a refuge of solitude of your people.
This is, as the kids would call it, a new joint. This is a place called Primer Coffee, a boutique coffee establishment here in Bellingham.
Primer Coffee.
Primercoffee.com, by the way, for you that want to check out their awesomely set up website. So we are in a wonderfully laid out location right by Elizabeth Station, and that should ring a lot of bells for a lot of Bellinghamsters. 1400 Holly Street, right next to Elizabeth Station, off of Broadway. Boy howdy, I am really digging this environment. When you go in, ladies and gentlemen, when you go into a retail establishment during the holiday shopping season, you have a very difficult time navigating any kind of place to walk because there's so much stuff in the aisles and so much stuff everywhere. This joint is the polar opposite. I am such a fan.
It's svelte.
It's very svelte. And oh, by the way, Kevin and Angela are the goods. They've taken very good care of us in mixing our drinks. And today, AJ, one of the main people involved is a barista par excellence named Kevin. And Kevin is joining us on the podcast to tell us a little bit about Primer Coffee and how it got started and what customers can expect when they come here. So, Kevin, what would someone encounter for the first time they visit your place?
Well, ideally, you'd walk in and be greeted with a smile. Come on in, take a look at our menu. And we don't try to leave you hanging with a menu. We want to be able to walk you through the process. Our menu's broken down into a few different sections. Some of those include filter coffee, just your normal black brewed coffee, drinks with espresso. We've got some great chocolate. We've got some specialty drinks, and then we've got food. So depending on what you're after, I would then sort of guide you to where you want to go on the menu. So espresso, food, brewed coffee, that sort of thing.
That sounds great. So myself, I'm not a coffee black belt, and so for someone that is coming in and is normally one to order a tall mocha with whipped cream, it's completely like insulting in a lot of ways. What would you suggest for a first-time visitor to a boutique coffee place such as this?
Yeah, I would ask what you're looking for, and you mentioned the tall mocha with whip. We have a mocha in a 12-ounce size. I think that's a tall size. At Starbucks. We make a ganache every day. We have got a great chocolate supplier. We use Dick Taylor. They're out of California. They're wonderful. We make a ganache, and I would suggest a mocha. Try our mocha. We'd love for you to try that. Keep you in your comfort zone if that's what you're after. We aim to make our chocolate very chocolatey, but not too terribly sweet. I'm not a huge chocolate fan, and I really like our mochas. That's what I would suggest for you if you're going for that.
Wonderful. Sounds great. So for people who want to check out Primer Coffee, what are your hours during the week that they can stop by?
We're open 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day.
That's easy to remember.
Yeah, 6 to 6 every day.
Very cool. Kevin, we're very impressed with the joint, and thanks again for preparing a very good cortato for me. And I think you had a La Esperanza. Was that what you made for AJ?
Yeah, for AJ we made a little cappuccino, or on our menu it's listed as a 6-ounce espresso and milk, and the coffee we use for our espresso is a Guatemalan coffee from the La Esperanza.
There you go. That's what I saw for that. So anyway, thanks for joining us on the show. We appreciate it.
Not a problem. I appreciate you having me on.
Yep. So I am drinking a cortato.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Cortana. We don't want to ever get a confusion on that. A cortato is a 4-ounce beverage that it's in a my size kind of shot glass. For those of you visualizing, it's rather large, and it's a right combination of espresso and so many other great coffees. There may be some wonderful types of coffee that I don't have the full knowledge on, but it sure tastes good, and you're able to watch them pour for you as opposed to going to stand in line while someone barks out your order, like in some coffee establishments that I try to avoid. So anyway, what are you drinking?
I'm just drinking a very well-pulled cappuccino and enjoying every second of it. This is some fantastic coffee. I love the ambiance. A little bit echoey for the podcast, but I dig the wood. I dig the just svelte white. I mean, this is probably the cleanest looking modern-esque coffee shop we've got in town.
It's right up there. And so for those of you in Bellingham looking for a new place to check out, if you haven't yet, check out Primer Coffee on 1400 Holly Street, right by Elizabeth Station here in Bellingham. So I want to start off the show. Last show or a couple shows ago, you
previously on BPM.
That's right. AJ, you had talked about law in California about distracted driving and how if you have your phone in your hand or if your phone is not docked, you're going to get it lit up with a ticket.
Right.
So you've got a follow-up about that.
Yeah, so kind of practicing what we preach, I did a what-if scenario. Like, what if this type of legislation got passed in Washington? Would it really impede or would it even benefit my driving, the lack of distracted driving? So I decided to throw down. I didn't get a dock. I didn't spend any money on this, really. I just got on my iPhone 5S. Yes, it is a little bit of a relic, but I love it. On the back of the case that I have, it's just a small, I think I got off an eBay type of plastic PVD, is that what the plastic's called? I can't remember. Just the cheapo $2 case you get off of eBay. I took 2 strips of Velcro, sticky-sided Velcro tape. I put one side, the soft side, that goes in my pocket. Thank you very much. I'm not going to scrape my knuckles when I reach for my phone.
Or other things as you're getting that in your pocket.
Just saying. Anyway, so I put the soft side on the case. I put the rough side on the dash of my RAV, and I just stuck it there right where the what'd you call it? The in-dash IDE, in-dash entertainment, in-dash navigate, IDN, in-dash navigation
control,
IDC. Yeah. I can't remember the cool acronym you came up with. And so there it's where it lives. Before that, I would just have it in the cup holder. So I found myself after we did that show, I would look down to see my navigation when I do my Google Maps or whatever. And I thought to myself, I just did a show on this. Wouldn't it be better if it was a little bit closer to my line of sight? Because I'm using it for navigation. Mm-hmm. And I know, like I've seen in some rigs, you get the little suction cup mount and put it on the dash. It won't work with my dash. So you can do it on the glass. And I have a problem with having anything hanging from my rearview mirror or on my dash.
Or obstructing your view when you're driving.
And that's a law. You cannot have an obstructed view in your vehicle. So I won't do that. So I decided to just take some black Velcro. I think I spent like a whopping maybe $3. Once I already had it on hand, but if you went to Lowe's or whatever, it's probably about $3. Joann Fabrics, wherever, Michael's. You buy a couple of strips of this. And I mean, once the glue sets, boy howdy, the glue sets. So don't put this on directly on your phone. Put it on a case. And I just stick it on my dash. And, I've actually noticed that my response time, I will say, is a little bit sharper because I just have to I can see my map out of the corner of my eye as opposed to physically looking down and to the right next to my gear shift. So anyway, I'm just trying it out because, this show, Chris, you and I said, like, we're going to talk about stuff that, what's the colloquialism that we hear around the shop sometimes? Eat our own dog food?
Yes, we have. We'll go first.
We'll go first. And so, I'm not saying that Washington is looking at any kind of legislation like this, but I do see some of the pros. If you're in the California area, hello, and you're listening to our show, I do see the benefits of it. So, and you don't have to spend much on it. I mean, that was the big thing is, I could understand like passing legislation, like the whole hands-free thing. You got to throw down $100 for a hands-free solution unless you do corded, right? This is a $3 solution with some Velcro.
It's also a solution to being a more conscientious driver and to limit the distraction that you have.
Yep.
Are we, to try to break that tie, that connection we have with our phone to always be available.
Exactly.
And so good on you for giving that a try to walk through the steps because if it is a real hemorrhoid, you got to be able to let others know about it.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't find it any problem. And also, I do see one downside of it. When it was in my cup holder, if there was a text or something that came in, notification, I I would usually ignore it because I have my eyes on the road. Now that it's on my dash, my notifications, when they pop down, I tend to catch it in the corner of my eye. So I don't know how I feel about that. But again, the application, $3 fix to stick it on your dash, and it's non-destructive. Like if I ever sell this rig, I can rip the Velcro off, no damage done.
And for those of you out there that are well versed in trying to eliminate distractions while you're driving, or you've even put it in the glove compartment or something, give us an email or give us a voicemail. Give us a call, 201-731-8324. Let us know what you're doing to try to decrease your distracted driving tendencies, so that we all can share ways to be safer on the road.
Yeah. And if you are on the road and you're listening to us, you might be listening to us in the Bellingham area on KMRE 102.3
Low
FM.
power.
You jumped in fast.
Sorry, man.
It's cool.
We're working on our cadence.
I know. Well, it feels good to be out and about in Bellingham, honestly. Like, when we do the quote studio recordings, that's fun and all, but like this, like there's some ambience, like there's going to be some stuff I'm going to have to edit, but this is Bellingham. Like, we're out.
And there's one important part of this equation to keep in mind. I'm now caffeinated.
Yes.
And that's a good thing because all bets are off as far as what we're going to be talking about if I have caffeine in my system.
Speaking of, so you have a topic of hot debate. Rumor has it you're being all Spectre on me and going dark. What's going on, James Bond?
Q, I'm at a stage in my life right now where I'm really valuing my personal phone number. I'm realizing that as more online companies are asking for my phone number, there are people that have access to something that I hold of high value, and I don't want people interrupting me or having access to something that I view as personal. And so in a way to try to maintain that personal side, if I need to go to a website to get something as a one-off and they ask for a phone number, well, obfuscation may be a word that we're going to use in the future.
Sure.
But I'm probably not wanting to use my personal number for something that I don't have a vested interest in.
I see. So it's playing on to what we talked about last show. Your inbox is sacrosanct. Your phone number is like double sacrosanct? Is that even
sacred,
a thing?
Yeah.
It's sacred.
It's important, and I'm very cautious about who I want to share my 10 digits out with.
Gotcha.
So as a result, I've done a little bit of a look into what is out there that I can have a parallel number so that you have a public number and you have a private number.
Interesting.
Kind of like how we have some email addresses. If you're smart, you would have an email address that you put all your web and all related stuff on, and then you have a personal one for the people that you care about and only want to receive messages from. So there are a couple apps out there that I've found. One of them is called Signal. This is an app that is free. It's open source, I believe, but the kicker on this is it's end-to-end encryption messaging. And unfortunately, you can't just dial anyone. They need to sign up for Signal. So it's kind of like WhatsApp or Line or Telegram, where there need to be people with a Signal account. It binds with your phone number. You're able to access it with your phone number, but it's a great way to have secure messaging, and you can also place audio calls with another Signal account.
User.
Yeah, a user. And so I found that to be pretty interesting. I have a couple people that I use Signal with, and that's been a pretty good source for me to keep that in mind. Yeah. Another app that I found is Shuffle, and we have links to these sites in the show notes for this episode. If you go on the iOS App Store and look for Shuffle Phone, you'll see, I believe it's like an octopus.
It looks like Spectre.
It looks like Spectre. And so basically what I was able to do for about $2 a month, and as it turns out, less than 20, 30 cents a day, I'm able to have a parallel phone number that I can receive phone calls on that phone number, on my personal phone number through this app. I can also receive text messages on this parallel phone number. So I'm going to call it the public phone number.
Huh.
Also, I'm able to have an alias for an email within this app. So now that accomplishes 3 tasks: having a public phone number, a public text messaging source to receive confirmations in some cases, and an email that I can forward to any email that I want. So I can protect my private email, protect my private phone, and I'm off and running for about $2 a month. Huh. So that's another one. And of course, a very popular source, I believe for both Android and iOS, is called Burner. And so burner's mainly for temporary phone numbers that can expire after a certain amount of time, but they do have premium plans available. Burner's available as a free download, but it may cost you to get some of the premium levels of access. So those are 3 solutions that I found so far, Signal, Shuffle, and Burner, that have allowed me to get comfortable with protecting what I want to be private in future endeavors online, or people that I want to share or not share my personal information with.
Now, let me rewind a little bit. When you're talking about Shuffle and receiving phone calls, is that through cellular, or is that through like 3G, 4G, Wi-Fi type of thing?
It's my understanding that this is done via wireless.
Okay.
Or so wireless network. So I'm thinking if you have an iPod Touch or some other non-cell phone plan phone, you can have this in which you will receive phone calls through a regular landline, quote-unquote, phone number.
Cool. So, but you do have to have some sort of connection to the internet. It's not through cellular.
It's not through tin can and wire or through the homing pigeon or anything like that.
Got it.
So,
cool.
yes.
Cool.
So it's just been something I'm testing out. And, of course, once, like we talk about, I'll go first.
Yeah.
And for those of you that may be thinking about, with what AJ was talking about last episode with Facebook, and I'm trying to, downshift a little bit on what I'm putting out there. First of all, we support you. You're among family here.
Hello.
But also, here's some options for you to check out to see if it works for your situation.
That's cool.
So
along those same lines, I've got one, because you mentioned it by name, Telegram. That's another one I like to throw out there as a comparison to Signal. I think they're pretty much basically
very
the same
similar,
thing.
Yeah.
The reason why I've used Telegram in the past before is I like one major feature in there, and that is you can set, if your account is dormant past a certain time frame, it will auto-delete everything for you.
That's helpful.
So, it's basically super deleting, and that includes also your phone number, because just like Signal, you can tie it to your phone number, for authentication. But I do like that one feature, and that's why Telegram is used around the world by journalists and people of nefarious nature as well, because it's end-to-end encrypted. There's nothing stored really in the cloud. And on top of that, this other feature of the fact that if you go dormant for a certain amount of time frame, well, James Bond, this message will self-destruct in ... So I just want to throw that one out. Another thing I wanted to throw out is something that you made a recommendation last show.
Oh boy, what did I talk about
Mr.
this time?
Powell,
Oh,
you
dear.
got me hooked on something.
Uh-oh, what is that?
Unroll.
Oh, yes.
Dude.
Yes.
Unroll is the goods. So if you don't remember last show, Chris was mentioning the fact that he had two things. One was a way to seek and destroy basically accounts that you use your email to sign up for, which didn't find it as helpful. I appreciate the fact that I can see all the accounts that I've used this random Gmail that I've used for years for. That wasn't helpful. But Unroll, all that spam into a nice digest, and you can set the time frame of in the evening before I go to bed, so I can see what actual things I do want to read. That was super helpful, Chris.
I'm glad someone's listening to what I'm talking about, and I'm glad you had some success with it. For those of you that want to check it out, you can go to unroll.me. It's not a .com. You don't even have to enter in the www.
Yeah.
Just type in your web address unroll with 2 L's .me.
There's one caveat I do need to throw out. It only works with certain email accounts. So, for instance, Gmail, it works great. I believe it works with Gmail, Yahoo, and possibly Outlook.com.
The big players.
The big players. So if you have some random ones, like we mentioned a couple shows back, like Proton Mail or Zoho or something crazy like that, it won't work for those yet. But I have high hopes for this. This is a cool anti-subscription. I don't even know what to call these guys.
It's a subscription detonator.
Yeah.
Or a consolidator.
Consolidator.
Oh, that's better.
That's good.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right, let's talk about something we love near and dear to our heart.
Oh, man. So what tech show would not be a tech show if we didn't talk about gear?
Yes, we are gear fanatics.
So, and the gear that we're talking about, sometimes it's audio equipment or photography equipment. But there's one thing that is very close to Mr. Powell's heart, and as well as my own, and that's bags.
Yes, the stuff we carry our tech and other everyday carry gear in.
Yeah, and so tune in next week. This is a bit of a teaser, because next week, Chris Powell and I both threw down our own money, much like we talked about in our Christmas special, threw down our own cashola on 2 new pieces of gear. We're going to test it out, and they're 2 different pieces of gear for Chris and I, 2 different styles. We kind of switched a little bit. Actually, now that I think about it, the bag that you order is very much more my style, and then the bag that I just ordered is kind of more your style. So we're going to kind of try this out and kind of give our opinions on it.
This is a gear version of Holiday.
Yeah.
That movie that my wife made me watch a number of years ago with Kate Winslet and Cameron Diaz and Jack Black and wait for it, Jude Law.
Oh.
And so, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I did watch that film, and it's a good way to swap locations. And in this case, we're swapping mindsets and how we approach gear. And so stay tuned for that next week. I bet we're going to have some interesting comments on that. So AJ, earlier this month we had the Consumer Electronics Show, which was the big fest of all the new electronic gadgets.
Shiny.
The new Shiny coming out, and it was in Vegas, but I hear there's a new CES of watches coming out in the near future.
Yeah, kind of. So we just got done with this thing called SIHH, and it happens in Geneva. I'm not going to do the French translation of SIHH. Basically, it stands for Salon of Horological Awesomeness in my book.
Very cool.
Basically, it's a showcase of watches, and these are the high-end Swiss watches type of thing. What's really cool about it, if you're into watches or horology, just do an Instagram search for SIHH 2017 and take a look at some of the cool pieces of art. Like, even if you're not into mechanical watches, just look at the artisanship that comes out of some of this stuff. Also, I'm going to do a shameless plug because I love those guys. Jason Heathen and James Stacy from the Grenado. I believe they're both on location, so both of their feeds would be a good place to take a look if you're interested in it. And on that same note, Chris, I noticed that you're wearing a different watch than normal on the show.
Yeah. You know, a few episodes back, we talked about the Citizen Eco Drive, and while it's doing fine, I want to enhance my murdered out watch collection.
Murdered in geek speak means all black.
All black. I do not commit a sin of murder at all. But
except for murdering this awesome coffee.
Yes, I drank that very quickly. But when I say murdered out, I mean all black. So anyway, there's a company called Movement, MVMT. They're like me. They don't like vowels. And I noticed their site, and they have very minimal watches and well done. They're handmade, American made.
Oh, really?
I think so. And but anyway, whether or not they are or not, I still like them. And I got a chronograph, all black, in there to check it out. And I've enjoyed the digital. Well, it's not really digital, but it's a battery
quartz movement.
The quartz movement process so far, and it's just a new addition to my collection.
Yeah, it's very black. Maybe I need to describe the murder that is this watch. It is a black PVD case on a black strap with black tinted hands. The only two things that are not black on this watch and the watch dial and the watch face is literally the date in the date wheel. The letters, thank goodness, are white, and the sweeping second hand is white.
It's a little bit of a contrast in some cases, but I enjoy it, and it spoke to me. And you got to be able to spend your own money on things that provide emotional joy to you, and this one did.
And its functionality. One thing that is lacking in my own watch collection, I do not have a chronograph.
There you go.
That's cool.
So let's go back to the SIHH. AJ, was there something from that fest that struck your eye? Like if there was something that is on your bucket list or acquisition list?
Whoa, man, so much is on my acquisition list when it comes to that type of stuff. But one of the I'll talk about a trend. One of the trends I'm starting to see a lot more of is the price point of the Swiss watch greatly coming down. So more accessible luxury. This is something that Frederic Constant, I've mentioned them before on the show, they really targeted that market. And now we're seeing things like Mont Blanc and Blancpain and even Baume & Mercier. These guys are high-end watchmakers that, you're talking in the $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 range, and they have watches getting closer to the $5,000 and $6,000 range.
Interesting.
Still pricey, but you're talking about a good omega in watch pricing now. The other thing I'm seeing a lot more is dive watches are kind of coming back. They never went out of fashion, but Baume & Mercier introduced this new watch lineup called the Clifton Club. It's based off of their other Clifton watch series, but it's very modern design for a dive watch. It's still utilitarian, has a bezel that you can rotate and mark time with, but the hands and the dial very much more modern in design, not that retro look. So it'll be interesting to see there's another show coming up as well later in the year. Be interesting to see what trends come out of it.
Absolutely, sounds great.
So, Chris, as we wrap up the show, are you working on anything new?
Got a couple topics in the hopper right now for projects that I'm working on, but one thing that I am enjoying, converted my little personal newsletter. It's called Quiet Conversations. That is going along nicely. I got a couple of new signups. So for those of you that are listening to the podcast, thanks to signing up for my newsletter, thanks very much. If you want to check out a weekly quiet conversation that talks about life insights and cool technology and obscure music recommendations, check out bit.ly/quietchris. That's a place where you can sign up for my newsletter. And try to get there every week or so. But if you really want to check me out on social media and want to avoid cluttering your inbox, I understand. You can check me out on Twitter and Instagram and medium.com on Minimal Tech, MNMLTEK.
You're so minimal, you don't have any vowels.
Thanks, man. So your turn, AJ. What are you working on as of late?
Right now, I'm kind of in mid-month, so this is kind of when I start to evaluate what topics I'm going to hit in my vlog. I do a vlog every month for a community on Patreon. It's patreon.com/AJ Barce, where I talk about the art of photography and tips and tricks, and I also have some extra benefits that I throw out to my patrons. But for this vlog, I'm... not to spoil anything, but I think it might be related to the bags that we're going to be talking about next week.
Oh, sounds tempting. Yeah. Sounds tempting.
So anyway, you can check me out there, or you can find me online, Instagram and Twitter, @AJBARSE. If you like photography in the Pacific Northwest, I'm your huckleberry.
And if you have any ideas or questions about technology, or Bellingham for that matter, if you're going to be traveling to Bellingham in the near future, and you want to know some cool places to check out, give us a shout on our voicemail. We have a dedicated line set up for you. It's area code 201-731-8324. That's 201-731-TECH. And let us know how we're doing on the show. Ask us what our favorite coffee shop is, or our favorite sushi joint is. We'd be happy to share that with you, and also talk about some... anything else that you might have on your mind as well, within reason, of course.
Of course. And be nice about it, because we like nice people.
We do like nice people. We try to be nice on this podcast, and we hope you do the same.
Yeah. So I guess that wraps up for this edition of BPM Tech. Thank you again so much again for listening to us, rating us, and reviewing us on the iTunes, on the Google Play Store, and on Spreaker or SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts of choice. Be sure to tune in to us on
102.3 FM KMRE.
Low power.
See, we got it right that time.
Yeah,
good.
Got
All
it
right,
good
cool.
that time.
Yeah.
Thank you again so much for listening to us. And also, do check out BellinghamPodcast.com. Chris and I have been putting up a little bit of extra goodies for our listeners. I put up a GIF on how you can start deleting your memories from Facebook, that hack I talked about last show. And more to come there.
There may be some articles of technology use that you might find, and there may be some hidden features coming in the near future that takes a look behind the scenes in some cases. We'll see what comes up in the near future. So BellinghamPodcast.com.
And I also, for our Android listeners, I also did a little bit of workaround for you guys, and you'll notice that the link for Android now works and goes directly to the Google Play Store.
Great job, AJ. For all of you that have Android tablets or phones, now you have no excuse not to listen to us, right?
Yep.
There you go.
iOS, easy. Google, easy. On the air, easy. And on that note, I'm AJ Barce.
And I'm Chris Powell. Our thanks to Kevin and Angela from Primer Coffee on 1400 Holly Street. Thanks for joining us on BPM Tech. We'll see you next time.